Hi, everybody. I'm Frank Stanisci of Candid Frank Live's Leave Talk here on the Spanglish World Network on Zingo TV channel 250. Please remember to download the Zingo TV app at the respective app stores for iOS and Android devices. While you download, make sure you rate, leave a comment. Both apps are absolutely free. Zingo TV is available on Google Chromecast, Amazon Fire TV sticks, Roku sticks, and also on all smart TVs 2016 forward. It's been 8 years. Now on Candid Frank Live, joining me as usual is Aaron William Freeland. Aaron, how you doing, buddy?
Doing well, Frank. How are you?
Busy.
Mhm.
Depression is kicking in.
Well, that's unfortunate.
Oh, yeah. But you know what? As long as well, I've become very accustomed, and for those who suffer a little bit of depression, they'll understand this. I understand the triggers now a little better. So I'm not necessarily always in front of them, but like my dogs, when they hear the crinkle of a piece of plastic, they go, "Nope, that's just crinkling plastic. That ain't food." You begin to learn, and that's what the key is to learn some of your weaknesses and try to help shore them up a little bit. That's all that matters. We all have our weaknesses. We all have our, an old word that people used to use back in the day, peccadillos. We all have them, and and we just need to learn how to deal with them. And as long as you have people around you who support you when you need it. And I like to say also that support from people has an echo effect. In other words, you can, if you want, remember that people do care before they remind you.
It's very true. Having a network of friends to support you is always very important.
Absolutely, absolutely. And we can define what kind of friends they are
Yeah.
later. Because that's the other issue is don't be picky. Friends are friends at certain times. Don't try to be picky. All right. Why don't we do something we like to do, and let's go to the Canadian Football League, and we'll start with the Stamps signing a couple of players.
Yep. So they've signed 4 American players. They've signed defensive backs Clifford Chapman and Mako Dodson. They've signed defensive lineman Jet Bush and receiver Mike Harley Jr. Now, all of this is, of course, moot because the Stamps didn't make the playoffs. So, these are guys that are going to be with them probably next year at the end of the day. Chapman finished his collegiate career with 2 seasons at the University of Texas in San Antonio. After that, he actually signed with Atlanta Falcons as an undrafted free agent in 2023. And in 3 preseason games with the Falcons, Chapman had 7 tackles and 1 sack. Prior to coming to Calgary, Dotson had attended rookie minicamp with the Houston Texans in 2022. The following year, he played 9 games for the New Jersey Generals of the USFL and made 14 tackles. Harley had signed with the NFL's Cleveland Browns as an undrafted free agent in 2022. He was on Cleveland's practice squad and also attended the Browns training camp in 2023. And last but not least, Bush attended rookie minicamp with the NFL's New England Patriots earlier this year after completing his collegiate career at Texas.
Let's go to the Red Blacks. They sign national linebacker Dan Basambombo.
Yeah, he returns to the Red Blacks. They originally selected him with a territorial pick in the second round, 19th overall in the 2020 CFL draft. He appeared in 10 games between 2021 and 2022, recording 6 special team tackles before missing the 2023 season due to injury. I'm curious here, Frank, and you can probably better inform me on this. Would Basambombo be eligible to play in the East semifinals?
Yeah, I think he would.
Okay, so it's
I
not
don't
like
think
he
it,
has to have played a certain number of games with
no,
Ottawa.
no, I don't remember that being an issue. I could be wrong, but I don't remember that being an issue.
Just genuinely curious as to that because it just seemed interesting that they would pick him up, 3 days before the 3 days before the semis.
Yeah, well, no, I'm not sure about that. I'll be honest with you, I'm not sure.
No worries. Didn't mean to put you on the spot.
No, I've been on the spot my whole life. CF injury reports, division semifinals.
So we're just going to go through this quickly. For the Ottawa and Toronto teams, Alonzo Ade, Ty Francis, and Lucas Cormier were all limited on today's practice. Marco Dubois did not practice. The rest of the players that had been on the injured list before were full participants in the practice. So that's on their side. On our side, Demonte Cogsey did not practice. And Robert Priester was limited in his participation, and Fraser Sopik did not practice as well. Cameron Dukes was also a full participant at this practice after having been limited on Tuesday. As for BC, Chiante Evans did not practice. Everybody else that had been on the injury list before did participate in the full practice. For the Saskatchewan Roughriders, Sean Bain did not practice, nor did Frankie Hickson, Lake Corte Moore, or Joe Robustelli. Other individuals that were on the list previously all participated in full in today's practice. Bear that in mind when you're setting up your parlays in your bets for this weekend. All the usual suspects do look to be in place. The one question mark obviously would have been Cameron Dukes, but he was a full participant after having been limited on Tuesday because of a hip injury.
Absolutely. So, what do you think of these playoff setups? How do you feel the Argos will do against Ottawa?
They did well for the first 3 quarters of the game. The last time they played, it was that fourth quarter that was a little bit yochi. I wasn't quite expecting that result, or for them to let Ottawa come back the way that they did.
Oh, okay, you're talking about Ottawa. I wasn't sure if you were talking about Ottawa or Edmonton, because the same thing happened in both games.
Yeah, but that's the unfortunate thing. The Argos went back and forth with Edmonton right at the tail end there, those swapping off scores. So, at the end of the day,
Fourth quarter collapse
yeah,
against the team last week that isn't in the playoffs. That's something that you can probably set that aside because they had already made the playoffs. This game was meaningless to them, statistically speaking. I guess the game you were talking about is one we should key on, and that is Ottawa's corrective behavior in that game was one that I think if you're an Ottawa fan, you go into this game against the Argos an even favorite.
no, that's very true.
I can't see an Ottawa fan not being confident that they could beat the Argos, and I have to say, I'm not saying that that's the case. I'm just saying from an Ottawa perspective, from a Toronto perspective, Argo fans can say, well, they were so far ahead of them, they had the second place locked up. So I guess, they just took their foot off the gas and didn't want to get hurt or didn't really care. And the coaching staff didn't want to give up a lot of stuff because they knew either way, win or lose, they were going to play Ottawa. And
Yeah.
tipping your hand is something you don't want to do against an opponent.
No, definitely. But the unfortunate thing is with that late stage collapse and by allowing the Red Blacks to score 25 points in the fourth quarter, that does potentially highlight, as much as you may not want to think so, that can definitely highlight flaws that they can key on.
As a reporter and a person watching the game, the triangle that I happen to be describing here, the final point of triangle, the final point triangle that I'll mention is that as a reporter, what I saw were two players for Ottawa who were keys to the great season they were having before they were injured. And I'm referring to the quarterback, Drew Brown, and Acklin, the receiver. They came back from injuries together, and the first half was one for them to get acclimatized to being physically in a football game. They really did play well. If the Argos don't shut that tandem down, we're going to see what happened to the Argos in the fourth quarter start in the first quarter. That is the main thing the Argos have to do, is that Brown has had their number when healthy. All one has to do is look at the games that were played previously, and they will get a gentle reminder that if they can't defend Drew Brown and Ackland's special heroics when it comes to catching the ball, the Argos could be in trouble.
Yeah, and it definitely didn't look like the Argos had a handle on that. Drew Brown went 31 of 43 in that game back on the 19th for 400 yards and 4 touchdowns. That is concerning, to say the least.
Can they defend him is the question. And did they defend him in the first 3 quarters? the way they can and then just take their foot off the pedal? Is that, this question, I'm just repeating myself, so I'll just a reminder. And of course, then we have Saskatchewan and BC. Saskatchewan, by far the more consistent team going into the end of the season and coming into the playoffs. BC has been questionable, but VA proved that he's healthy and showed what he can do, and that could be scary for Saskatchewan. And scary only because of overconfidence. I'll go in reverse here. As the reporter, that's what I'm going to say. As let's say from the Saskatchewan side, well, our team, we believe in our team, great defense and their offense. Trevor Harris is probably playing his best quarterbacking that he's done in years, and our defense is really tough. And then you've got BC that'll look at you and say, BC fans will say, yeah, but we got our Vernon Adams back. Remember, he was the guy that was going to be MOP. I'm pretty confident with that guy at the controls. And we've got a pretty good set of receivers, and we've got a pretty good defense ourselves.
Now, I know in the season series, I think they split it. BC beat Saskatchewan earlier in the season, and on October 12th, Saskatchewan beat BC 39-8. I think recency bias could potentially come into play here when it comes to confidence levels vis-a-vis this game. Saskatchewan was the most recent team with the big win, so we'll have to see how all of that bears out.
Exactly. Only time will tell. Let's talk World Series baseball. Volpe had a grand slam for the Yankees.
Yeah, they scored 11 runs in Game 4 to fend off a sweep.
Saved from some for tonight.
Yeah, well, that'll definitely be interesting. There were a couple fans who interfered with a play in the bottom of the first inning that gave the Dodgers their first out. This guy was literally trying to pull the glove off of Mookie Betts' hand before pulling the ball out. I know people like to get passionate about the game, and fans like to be right there. But that could potentially have been damaging to Betts' wrist, elbow, and shoulder. Now, the fans were moved to a different section for their own safety. They're both season ticket holders. I believe one of them is a policeman. Neither of them have been charged with assault. Major League Baseball and New York Sports and Entertainment are allowing them back into the stadium for Game 5 tonight. So I'm going to be watching that particular corner with a great deal of interest tonight, just to see what happens.
Oh, my word, my goodness. That's the kind of stuff, the kind of behavior. Well, anyway, look, they're handling it. That's all good.
Yep.
Let's talk about Mexico City GP. Norris Titans championship fight.
Yeah, Norris made it a little bit closer. Carlos Sainz Jr. won. He went pole to win, which was absolutely awesome for him. It's his fourth win in F1, and it's also the first time he's ever won more than one race in a season. Max Verstappen had a few issues, specifically with obeying track limits and not trying to run other drivers into the barrier. He received two 10-second time penalties for forcing Lando Norris off the track. Norris finished in second, and Max finished in sixth. So you're looking at a little bit of a gain there for Norris over the course of the. It's still winnable for Max. I mean, all he's got to do is win a couple races, and that's pretty much all she wrote. But it has certainly made things more interesting.
Habs lose Kraken 8-2.
Yeah, that was a bit of a stinker that they put in there. They were given Montembeault the old raspberry when he made a routine save after the Habs were already down 2-0 just 2 or 3 minutes into the game, and it only got worse. They let the Kraken score 5 goals on him before pulling him. It was obviously embarrassing. Jamie Alexiak's point shot deflected off Mike Matheson and beat him. Riker Evans added another from the point, and Jaden Schwartz and Oliver Borkstrand made it 4-0 by the time the game was 10 minutes and 33 seconds old. That was all that she wrote for Montembeault. It's tough, man. Sometimes you have it, sometimes you don't. Sometimes the puck looks like a beach ball. Other times it looks like it's about the size of a pea, and it just looks like they had one of those games.
The Blues dominated the Leafs, and then they went to Ottawa, and the reverse psychology happened there. 8-1 loss to the Senators.
Yeah, there actually was a power outage at the Canadian Tire Center. So the game was actually delayed by half an hour. In addition to that, one of these Zambonis caught fire and started burning on the ice and actually dropped a whole bunch of hot hydraulic fluid. They actually had to drive a Zamboni over from an adjacent arena complex to finish the flooding and make sure that everything was there. But yeah, that game was just a buck kicking from start to finish. Joel Hoffer, their starting goalie, was pulled after allowing 5 goals on 21 shots. Jordan Bennington then came in relief and allowed 3 goals on 14 shots and challenged Linus Olmark to a fight uh, after some shenanigans behind the net.
What
Uh,
else?
I, I don't know how you feel about Jordan or his behavior or his attitude, but at some point I think he's going to get tuned up, and it's not going to be funny.
Well, you know, all I can say is there was a goaltender in Toronto named Felix Potvin, one of the most memorable fights in Leaf history, not just goalie fights, in Leaf history, was his tuning up of Flyer goaltender who thought he was a tough guy.
I have to say, I enjoy greatly watching that fight on replay. I don't think Hextall was ever the same after that.
I don't think so either. Colasar scores twice as the Golden Knights whip the Flames 5-0.
So Vegas was closing out a 4-0 homestand. They managed to outscore their opponents 24-8 during that stretch. Colasar has actually finally posted his first career multi-goal game. He had 2 goals and an assist. Alex Pietrangelo, Mark Stone, and Nick Roy also scored. And Aiden Hill made 16 saves in the team's first shutout of the season. The Flames only managed 16 shots. I mean, it's no wonder it was a shutout. Dan Vladar made 31 saves on 36 shots for the Flames. The Flames are actually the 4th worst when it comes to playoff winning percentage at 44.9%. Golden Knights have been on a bit of a roll, so not really surprising to see that happen. Flames are going to be visiting Utah on Wednesday, and the Golden Knights are visiting LA on Wednesday.
Absolutely. Columbus beat the Edmonton Oilers, and it seems everybody's doing that right about now.
Yeah, it's one of those tough starts to the season. Columbus managed to basically beat the brakes off the Edmonton Oilers at Nationwide Arena. I'm sorry, I don't mean to be chuckling, but it was a 6-1 final. Edmonton managed 32 shots on goal. Columbus only had 25. I'm wondering here if this doesn't highlight certain deficiencies on the Oilers' end that may need to get rectified. The Oilers had more shots. They won more faceoffs. They just couldn't seem to put anything in. It didn't help that Connor McDavid is out 3 to 4 weeks with an ankle injury. So that's an obvious concern for them. He disappeared in the first period and didn't come back.
Cap space that disappeared.
What's that?
That's a lot of cap space that
Yeah.
disappeared. Or cap cost, whatever. Canucks, their point streak goes to 5 games in an OT loss to the Hurricanes.
Yeah. So the good news is that the Canucks have managed to get points in their past 5 games. The bad news is they haven't necessarily won all of them. It was nice to see them tie the game late. Besser, Quinn Hughes, and Pia Suter lit the lamps for Vancouver, while Kevin Lankinen stopped 28 of the 32 shots that he faced. Despite the loss, they've now picked up a point in each of their first 4 home games this season. This is something that's a bit of a concern. They need to obviously get more points. Consistency and that they continue to get points is one thing, but getting themselves out of the position that they're in the standings is probably a little more concerning at this point.
I'm going to go out on a limb and say this is probably one of the things that drives Leaf fans the craziest, so I'll test my theory on you. Leafs hand the Jets, the hottest team in the league this season thus far, their first loss. and continue and lose previously to teams they shouldn't lose to. Is this like hair pulling fodder in your mind for Leaf fans, if not yourself, generally speaking?
I mean, it's concerning. It's one of those
Over
things
time,
that
it's been the kind of one of their problems. Right?
well, they're consistently inconsistent. You know, like they'll put in an effort like they did against Tampa Bay and beat the pants off them. But unfortunately, when it comes to teams and games that they should win, they are just absolutely miserable. And I don't understand it. You know, because the talent is there, the goal scoring ability is there, the goaltending is there, the defense is there. It just nothing seems to work. So I mean, they got to wear their third jerseys. Yay!
Yep,
But
I got one of
yeah,
those. It says Kessel on the back.
very nice. Yeah, you know, Winnipeg was down 4-0 quick. It was nice to see that lead, but at the same time, you could see old habits, missed assignments sort of creeping in. Next thing you know, it's
Power
4-2
play,
after power play. I'm not sure what it is with these guys. I don't know how they can
They're just
get
not.
out of
They're,
that
they're
habit.
not a dominant team, and they're playing like they need to find. They need to figure out if they can get it. You know, I don't know if they can get it on trademark. They need a goal scorer and a playmaker. I can't believe I said that out loud.
Congratulations.
A goal scorer and a playmaker. Oh, Leafs assigned Fraser Minton to the Toronto Marlies.
So Fraser Minton, as some folks may remember, hurt himself, had a high ankle sprain in training camp, and actually managed to miss a lot of it. He's apparently recovered enough that they've decided that they're going to put him on the Marlies for a bit of a conditioning stint. This is good for this is good for us, Marlies fans, because we get to see a little bit more of them than you could
And
potentially
they're
would.
playing well. And they are
Yeah.
playing well. The next head coach of the Leafs.
Do you think? I mean, it's possible.
I'm just saying. Okay, a news story. 1 minute. You got it. Minute.
All right.
Let her rip.
So, for those of you that are lamenting, the coming of fall, it's actually going to be up to 22 degrees by Halloween. It was certainly warm enough this afternoon that I wanted to sit out back and pop a beer.
We were at the beach.
But how fantastic was that with the pups?
It was awesome.
But yeah, Southern Ontario could be getting sun, and Northern Ontario is going to be getting snow. Kingston is going to be getting rain, and Sault Ste. Marie is going to be expecting heavy winds. So we've got everything.
Snow is not the word you use around here. Not a
frozen precipitation, sir.
Good job, Aaron.
Hey, thank you, Frank.
He's Aaron William Freeland. I'm Candid Frank Stanisci. Thank you for watching Candid Frank Live here on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays. This show can also be heard on the Spanglish World Radio Network. For Candid Frank Live, other news, entertainment, and sports programming we offer, please check out spanglishworld.ca. Spanglish World. Watch it, hear it, read it, download it, live it. Thanks for watching, everybody. Ciao for now.